Hello everyone, Mullings here, AKA Wicked Penman. We're here for another video, and this month's theme is on movies, blackness and representation. And we'll be covering subjects like, well, the BAFTAs and OSCARs. I've been promising to get into it, so no time like the present. So with the BAFTAs, for instance, and how blackness is portrayed on screen in Britain, I think a few things could do with changing. No doubt about it. It's too far and in between the way, well, even the way blackness is handled. It's all this one track or this one size fits all description and portrayal. And unfortunately, even people are starting to be numb to how we're portrayed on screen, as they seem to think it follows only a certain, okay, let's just say it what it is. And I have no issue with anything that portrays estate life, gangs, violence. It is a very real reality for a lot of black youth and a lot of families. But then there's the other side of that, which is people who have never experienced that, and we don't really see as much of that. Or if we do, it's caricature, it's things that are like, you know, these really, you can't say unrelatable, because it's not that they're unrelatable, but they're just so far unrealistic and so inaccurate, these portrayals, that again, it just kind of comes off as if we're being handled in a way that's not very helpful to the next generation of you know, actors, creatives, and people who want to, you know, to showcase their stuff in the eyes of the media. And then, because these are the only portrayals that, you know, let's face it, the people who are voting on these things, or the people who have the ability to send these things up for awards and accolades, these are the only portrayals they see. So it's almost as if, again, I can't claim to know people's mindsets, but it's not that valuable to them. It's not nothing they haven't seen before, which, again, I know the counter to that is, how many war films have we seen? How many period dramas have we seen? It doesn't stop these things from getting all the recognition. But we need to redefine blackness on screen in Britain. That just needs to happen, and it needs to happen as quickly as possible. And it needs to happen. It really does. And I think until that happens, you'll continue to see, you know, kind of, it's not even whitewashing per se, it's just, actually is whitewashing. There'll be no recognition for us until we change the way we're presented on screen. Now, again, there is definitely room. I don't want anyone trying to mix my words up. It's very hard to have something made. It's very hard to have something greenlit. There is a lot of graft that goes into that and getting into that position. I am not for a second trying to be divisive about that or polarizing. I'm not saying there isn't a place for those portrayals and and that we shouldn't appreciate what we've seen before. I'm just saying the kind of legacy building content is what we haven't been getting. And I mean, a part of it as well is it's this one program however, we need to have 3, 4 and 5 programs at once, 2, 3 and 4 films going to cinema at once. You know, this needs to happen, and we need to start looking at ourselves and saying, well, you know, how can we come together and collaborate as black creatives that care about how we're presented on screen? It's too many, one person here, one person there. Why aren't we all coming together and doing something together? I feel until that happens, like I said, we'll continue seeing, even though it is disgraceful. Come on now, you can't tell me there's no portrayals, no actors, actresses, no writers, no directors that are worthy of recognition from these BAME backgrounds. Like, it's so bad here. And it's like, whenever you try to engage anyone in a conversation, telling them what's going on or what, nobody really hears you. Instead, what you get is this coded language. Oh, it's good, it's original, but they always try and, they think we don't recognize when they're talking down to us. We've been around this long enough to know, you know, so I really wish people would actually listen and pay attention. And it's so reactive. So until Joaquin Phoenix goes up and Joaquin, whatever you know, no disrespect, but however you say his name. I call him Joaquin Phoenix. It could be Joaquin, whatever. Until he speaks up, I don't think that the issue gets highlighted as much, because then the next day they're talking about it, you know. And I approached a couple of stations and reached out to a couple of news outlets about speaking up about this before the event took place. Couldn't get nothing in way of a response, and then, you know, they interview who they want. That's another thing. They always choose the person of the moment to be the spokesperson for stuff, and their point of view always seems to center on the fact that they can't all the way relate. Things are going well for them, so, oh, I don't know if it's, you know, if it needs this sweeping change, and oh, in a couple of years when my stuff is, you know, then they'd think. I really wish we would stop thinking like this. Until we can all be seen on merit, until we can all get respect, until we can all get access to opportunities, the system is broken. So basically, if someone were to magically put everything right in my life and I could get to make programs, films, whatever it is that I wanted to do right now, I have no right the next week or whenever it is someone wants to point a camera at me to say there is no issue with regards to diversity, representation, inclusion, all these words that they're using, the BAME portrayal and numbers and women. I can't speak on that. I've just been lucky, and I wish other people would be able to come along with me. But then, not just wishing, why am I not making sure that that happens? Why isn't each one bringing one? Because let's be honest, a lot of these people who are in these jobs, in these industries, have been grandfathered in. They're not getting there on merit. Like, not saying that they have no use whatsoever or they're incompetent, but if you come from a family where you have a name or you're known for a particular thing, or you've been allowed to have on-the-job experience watching your father, your uncle, whoever it is do this thing, your aunt, and you're like their nephew, their niece, their cousin, the in-law. I'm not calling it nepotism, that just makes sense. If I run a business, for instance, it is my right to be able to bring my kids and my family through the business. That there's no one saying that that's an issue. The problem is when there's like these, we're looking for something, we're looking for inclusion, we're looking for new portrayals, we're looking for this stuff. But the people who meet the criteria, the skills threshold, if you like, they just can't get through. That's an issue. That's what needs changing over here. So, I mean, and that's the Oscars, and major props to Joaquin Phoenix. I probably butchered his name, for standing up and saying something. I was very impressed. I posted it on LinkedIn, I posted the video, I posted it on Instagram as well, the video. And I had a couple of helpful discussions with people I know who were doubting the sincerity. Again, as Black people, we're not wrong to question when people all of a sudden claim to notice us, but they weren't necessarily always on our side. I get that. But at the same time, we have to recognize when somebody is trying to be on our side or is trying to rectify the fact that for a long time they weren't privy to the fact that things were like this for us. All you can do at that point is take them on good faith and say, well, hopefully they're going to start putting in action and making changes to help us break through and, you know, get our just delights and what we're supposed to get, and the recognition and the awards and all the nice things that they don't necessarily see. And again, remember, in terms of celebrity, they're pretty much, and a lot of these people are millionaires by the time they hit their early 20s. They're corporations, they're big business, they're worth a lot. People run around them and do things. They're not really, I'm not saying it excuses not being aware of what's going on in the world and circumstances outside of yourself. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, you're like, I get it. You had your own problems. You know, you had your own pressures. You're competing with other people that you've come up seeing win awards and stuff. Like your mindset is very singular, and they're brought up that way and encouraged to be that way. Whereas I think with us from the minority backgrounds, we grew up knowing what it's like. So we don't necessarily lose that very easily, unless you come from households or situations where we've never really experienced that. Like it's been smooth sailing. You know, we've all risen on talent and people liking us and putting us in positions and so on and so forth. So I understand it, is what I'm trying to say. And I think, you know, anyone that wants to come over to our side and help make this thing happen is welcome. Well, they're welcome for me. I can't speak for anyone else. I have enough people who don't want to give me a chance. So someone that actually is interested in hearing me out and trying to sort something out for me, that's a no-brainer to me. The Oscars. I mean, with the Oscars now, it was definitely interesting and good to see Parasite win. And it's funny because, especially over here in Britain, it seems whoever's job it is to identify talent, identify story, they work on a reductive scale. They're looking for things to take away. They're not looking for what's unique, what's special. They're just looking for what's different that isn't what they're used to. So I reckon I'm quite not shocked actually, but it's interesting that Parasite got the props it got the push it got the acknowledgement it got, because for years and years and years they ignored black talent speaking the same language, having these interesting and unique stories and point of views and these conversation pieces. So it was very, yeah, I think, does it mean things are changing in Hollywood? No, I don't think so. But they got it right this time, you know. So you can't even say props to them for that, because it's like, this is what should happen every year. There should be an amount of, we're not, like, no one's asking for like a separate category that only minorities can win. That's ridiculous. But at the same time, they should be they should be taking into consideration the degree of difficulty in terms of how hard it is to get your film to that level where you're worthy of entering the conversation. Not saying special rules, I'm just saying that should be in your mind.